I'm going to speak a few words with regards to a famous rabbi, Rabbi Chaim Kasbi, Zecher Tzadik Libracha. He was born in the English year 1787 and he passed away in the year 1867. He was a dayan, a judge, about on various occasions before. He would also work as head of Jewish court over there, and the rabbi of Oran. This was another prominent place with a prominent Jewish community, I think by the port area in Algeria. And also he was the Rosh Yeshiva of the famous Aehli Ya'akov Yeshiva in the city. He would author various different Torah work, including Tzor Chayim, which was on the various Masechtot, the various different tractates inside the Talmud Bavli itself, respectively. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life. Now, he was born, I believe, back in the year 1787, actually, Heitav Kuf Mem Zaim. His father was a Rabbi Yehuda. And I think much investigations, let's just say, some various different historians would estimate that Rabbi Chaim was born in Morocco, but that's not necessarily definitely proven or not. I think there was, which we have to point about, there was various different writings on this. And I think there's a book of the writings and sages of Tlemkin, a history within regards to it. And in that preface, I would say that maybe he came from Morocco, but that will have to be confirmed. Later, he moved to Tlemkin over there, and he would study with another famous rabbi, Rabbi Yeshua Zoltan, I think who happened to be a famous rabbi of that specific time period, this specific area, and also Rabbi Natan Jian. Also, respectively, he happens to be himself the latter, a Payatan, a poet, a Kabbalist, a Rosh Yeshiva, a Posek Halacha, a rabbi that would render various different Jewish laws. He was a head of Jewish court, a rabbi in Tlemcen of Algeria, especially during the 18th century period and maybe more the earlier parts of the 19th century period. And he would also be engaged in doing fasts. He would fast, reported over for maybe even 3 consecutive days, which wouldn't actually affect his studies so much also. So he was a really great, righteous individual, a great tzaddik at that point, which we have to point out also. He would also deal with, in regards to charity work over there, chesed, gimilot chasdim, acts of kindness over there. It's reported over, he would raise an orphan in his home. So he was really, just through all spheres, a great, great righteous person within regards to his Torah studies, within regards to his midot and himself, and within regards to how he acted with others. He was absolutely incredible. Now, I think it was around the period, let's just say, Heitav Kuf Ayin Hey, you could say that was around the period of 1815-ish or something like that. He would start working as a dayan, a judge in Tlemcen over there, along with the other rabbi in the vicinity, Rabbi Natan Jian, a rabbi we just spoke about a few minutes ago. And more positions would come up. I think shortly afterwards, he would serve as the head of the Tlemkin Bet Din over there. Therefore, I think there was difficulties in the city, and he would have to move to the city of Oran over there. Once he came to Oran, he would head the Yeshivat Aehli Ya'akov, and he become a dayan, a judge inside the city. Also, very, very prominent positions. He would serve as head of Jewish court of the Bet Din, along with other famous rabbis in that specific vicinity. It was like really an all-star cast of rabbis, including, I think, in the Chaver Bet Din over there, was Rabbi Amram Cholmon, Rabbi Yaakov Alma Dioni, Rabbi Yehuda Ben Yitzhak also. And he would have, I think he would work inside this role until he passed away in the year Heitav Resh Chav Zayin. So he was a position he would hold on for many, many years. He would bring about various different pasak halachas, which many of the judges of Oran would do at that stage in time. Several various rulings, let's just say, I think we were preserved in the community many years afterwards. Sometimes he would sign his name within regards to some of the teshuvot he would give. Let's just say. And he was on friendly terms and halakhic correspondence with other great rabbis of his time, including Rabbi Yitzchak Halevi ben Suzan, who was a great rabbi. I think we've spoken about him before. Rabbi Avraham Enkawa, another great rabbi. I believe maybe it could be a Silula this week at the time of recording, I'm not sure. Rabbi Enkawa happened to be a Posek Halacha, an outstanding one in his day. He was a rabbi of Alamskar in Algeria. He was the author of great Torah books also. Another rabbi he was corresponding to was Rabbi Faroz Karasinti, who happened to be another very famous rabbi, I believe, of his time. Maybe we will speak to him, speak about him. At least stage he was, I think, one of the great Chachamim of Tlemcen and Rosh Yeshiva, head of Jewish court. He was a rabbi in Oran, respectively, and much more. He was corresponding with him, and also various other great Chachamim, great other rabbis of his time. Now, he authored great Torah works, including Chaim. This will contain various chidushim, teachings, and expoundations with regards to various mesechtot in Shas, the Rambam, let's just say Shulchan Aruch, Code of Jewish Law, and various different great Torah works, I think in Levano, and I think will be printed, if I'm not mistaken, or connected to. There was another rabbi we mentioned about on various occasions before in this series, rabbi of the name Rav Eliyahu ben Amozog over here. So I think we mentioned him on various occasions before. So this book it was printed in Livorno, I think in 1868, and the book was signed, I think, also it would have a preface to it. Now, another book of his was a Preforot LeChochma. This was in Torah. This was printed in Heit HaFresh Chavtet, I think 2 years after he passed away, if I'm not mistaken, once again in Livorno, in Italy. And the Paskei Din, which was printed as part of the Ktzvi V'Chachmei Tlemcen. This was through Rav Avram Hillel of Yerushalayim. Remember, I think we spoke about on various occasions before. He's a great-great-grandfather of Rav Yaakov Hillel, if I'm not mistaken. He was one of the great rabbis in Iraq, especially the early 1900s, but I have to double-check on that. Now, among his family, it's actually interesting. I believe 6 of his daughters married 6 rabbis who would assist him in publishing his books, if I'm not mistaken. Rabbi Chaim Kasbi היו 6 בנות שנישאו ל6 רבנים שסייע לו בהוצאות ספרו. This was written in Wikipedia, including Rabbi Moshe Shiraki, Rabbi Yitzchak Shokron. I don't know if we've spoken about all these great rabbis. Rabbi Saadia Lachayecha, Rabbi Yaakov HaKohen, Rabbi Pinchas Adahan, Rabbi Moshe Adahan, and I believe his grandson, if I'm not mistaken, was another famous rabbi. I hope we can speak about him, Rabbi Chaim Belay. His grandson was. Who was he? We mentioned about him, I think, quite recently. He happened to be, I think, a great rabbi of Tlemcen, also in Algiers, one of the great rabbis and poseks of Algiers of his time, and especially in 19th to 20th century, and was also working various different Zionistic work, especially taking part in the World Zionist Congress at one stage in time. He was a great rabbi. So we've spoken about him today. There's much more. He was one of the great rabbis of his area of Oran. Remember, in Algeria, there was many great rabbis in its day. So I recommend everyone to learn much more about him. He had his books printed in Livorno, which is interesting. Remember, Livorno at that stage in time had a great printing and publishing house it had in. And many great rabbis in the 1867, he was 80 years of age. So we're talking about approximately 160 years ago. Now it's interesting. His book, I believe, would contain 353 pages. This book being the famous book, the Tzruch HaChaim book, 353 pages. Once again, we said it was printed in Livorno. And I would recommend everyone to look into this book. You can actually see on the website, HebrewBooks.org, you can actually see different pages of that specific book, respectively. So I recommend everyone to learn more about him and learn more about the great Algerian rabbis we've already spoken about in this series, possibly as many as 50 rabbis that actually came from Algeria, maybe approximately, and hopefully we're going to cover more rabbis. Now, friends, we are a community here. We're learning about the great Oriental rabbis of yesteryear. Now, if you descend from any of the great rabbis, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. If you feel we should speak about a great Chacham who we haven't included in our series yet, if you check over the series of different great rabbis we've spoken about on our playlist, let me know. I would love to learn more about them. We are online encyclopedia in English, learning about the great Ottoman rabbis from the Ottoman period, from North African countries, from Spanish countries over here. We're trying to encompass all these rabbis, especially from the last 1,000 years. That is one of the goals over here from this series over here. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, friends, subscribe now to the channel. We've got loads of Torah content over here. We're nearing 7,000 subscribers. And lastly, if you descend from any of the great Chachamim we are speaking about, or if you feel anyone's interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos also to other people and help the channel grow. If you want to look at on the different websites, you can actually see also his signature, which he had, his famous signature, and very much reported over. So wishing you a fantastic day, everyone, and blessings, and enjoy and watch the space for more great content. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching.